This week's show in bullet points, Ben.
We have a chat to Stephen Susco, the writer of Test Screening, playing at Monster Fest.
We also have a movie battle between Robert Altman's Shortcuts and Lawrence Kasdan's Grand Canyon.
Or do we? We also discuss the best of 2011.
And much more. All right, let's do it, Ben. How's it going, folks? Welcome to another episode of Good Movie Monday. Thank you for pressing play. You know by now that we do this every week and we talk about movies, and we love movies, and that's and we're good friends. We just love to hang out, stuff like that.
This is my post-COVID hangs time.
Post-COVID hangs time.
Hangs time. Post-COVID hangs time. I'm going to get that on a T-shirt.
It's been a while. You've just timestamped us.
Yeah.
if you don't know who we are because you're brand new to the show, I'm Glenn Cochran.
And I'm Ben Helwig.
Yeah, so strap in. We've got about 90 minutes of pure nerdy goodness.
I think people are going to think that I'm lying, that my name is Ben Helwig, because when I said it, I went, my name's Ben Helwig.
It's all about the inflections. Where can they go, Ben?
They can go to goodmoviemonday.com, where they can find all of our social media links, past episodes. They can find our merch, whiskey glasses, T-shirts, and all sorts of things that Glenn just...
Mostly T-shirts.
Symbols indicated, like a lovely Elise Platt from Sail of the Century.
That's right. From our
no, that's dated us.
That's really dated us. Far out, my God. From the website, you can find your way to our socials. Make sure you support us with a like, a click, a little bell, ding, ding, ding. Give that a tick, because that will tell you when there's new stuff on YouTube. There's a new social media platform we've just joined this week, Ben. You're not aware of this yet.
No.
Only the other day. It's called Lemon 8. It's not Lemon Party. Well, although we are on there too.
What is Lemonade?
Lemonade is essentially a sort of offshoot from TikTok. It's more of a Pinterest type of platform, so it's image based. Oh. But what you post there can go onto TikTok as well. Like, it just sort of feeds into it. Everyone's starting to get on it, so I thought we'd hop on there, and it's mostly just sort of posters, banners, all that kind of stuff. But we're on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Lovely.
Check it out. Yes. Like we said at the start, we've got a very awesome show. I'm looking forward to this chat with Ben. I happen to know for a fact it's one of the best things we've ever produced for this show. And it's all you, baby.
Oh, thank you. I had a great time.
Yes. Before we get down to business, let's just do a little bit of a tribute to Robert Redford. He passed away since we last recorded.
Yes.
Absolute. I mean, I'd like to say it was a real gut punch, but like, he was an old man. So like,
yeah.
These things happen. But what a massive legacy he leaves behind. Made me wonder, what's your favourite Robert Redford film?
Well, I'm going to hold that in abeyance.
Okay.
Because my recommendation this week
Tribute.
is a little
Tribute.
Robert Redford
Okay.
Tribute.
In that case, we'll push on and we'll circle back to that. We have been to the cinemas. We've seen two films, one that's in cinemas last Thursday and one that's in cinemas this Thursday. So let's start with what's already out, and that's The Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
Yes, by Cogonado, directed by Cogonado.
Starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. And it's a big, beautiful film. Like, I really enjoyed this one. It's a real surreal kind of magic realism kind of movie, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Really took me back to, movies like, lose my train of thought, maybe What Dreams May Come.
Yeah.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah, even things like It's a Wonderful Life and stuff like that. It's that.
Yes.
Look back on these moments of your life and realize that it's not what you thought it was at the time.
And you've got to surrender yourself to the
now.
to the fantasy. Yeah. Because there's you don't ask the whys and the hows. You just accept that that's their reality, and they've been taken on this journey. He plays a guy that arrives to his house and his car's being clamped, and there happens to be a sign that says rental car service. He goes to get a rental car. It turns out to be some weird setup in a factory, and he's given an old, dated rental car.
Run by Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Kevin Kline.
Who I have never enjoyed until now.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
They were great. They were both great. And she's doing this German accent at the start, and then it goes.
It just stops. Yeah.
And then it comes back. It's like a great comedy bit.
And he gets in the car and starts traveling, and the GPS takes over and just asks, do you want to go on a big, bold, beautiful adventure? And he reluctantly says yes. And it turns out Margot Robbie's on the same big, bold, beautiful adventure, and their paths cross.
Which I love, that the first stop on the big, bold, beautiful adventure is a fast food hamburger.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, hang on, I do that every day. That's the
most perfect looking Whopper you'll ever see in an actual Burger King. That's where you've really got to surrender to the fantasy.
It took me right out of the film. Everything else, I completely believe the time travel and the doors in the fields and the whole lot. But that burger looked too good.
This movie is not for everybody, but I do highly recommend it. Like I really enjoyed the journey.
Yeah.
Not much more to add.
Just, even Colin Farrell's facial hair didn't upset the apple cart too much.
Well, it was a little bit.
It's a little bit much.
Yeah.
Like I think he took the designer stubble probably a step too far.
It almost looked like he had a Velcro beard on. Like, but anyhow, Margot Robbie's beard, not a problem. Like,
I just wanted Brendan Gleeson to pop out of the corner and just go, I just don't like you anymore. And that's one of the doors he has to go through.
If they just wandered into all their movies. Yeah. Just 2 seconds in Barbie Land.
Yeah, it'd be great.
It would be. Man, there's a movie in and of itself. Like It's a Wonderful Life, but we go back through your career.
To your career, yeah. Oh. It's part 2. That's what part 2.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Career.
Yeah.
Oh, it's writing itself, Ben. This could be one of those Kevin Smith moments where, how he wrote Tusk on his podcast and Yoga Hoses. Like,
Yeah.
This could be our moment.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to catapult to the heights of Hollywood. It's going to be great. And we also saw the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another, starring, headlined by Leonardo DiCaprio with a whole ensemble of other players, including Benicio del Toro. Who else is in there? Sean Penn, who hasn't been this good in a long time.
Steals the show a bit. Regina Hall.
Yep. And it's a real
Chase Infinity.
I had to write a review of this one, which is now online, but it was a really tricky one to get around because it's very politically charged. But I likened it to just it's a war between the two extremes of the political aisle, and how would you describe this film? It's a satire of those.
Yeah, I found the political stuff to be less important than it's a war between two dads.
Well, it becomes irrelevant, like the political stuff, but it definitely starts off on that foot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
To get you sucked into this world. But it plays both extremes so satirically that you're not really on either side.
Yeah, look, what it really does is make you hate people who are politically engaged.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just like, just give it up, forget it.
Yeah, at first you're like, oh, I can't believe this. And then you get the other side of it, and you're like, oh, fucking hell, you too. Anyway.
I love that. There's that, what's that thing that, in my 20s, it was, in my teens, it was fuck my parents. In my 20s, it was fuck my teachers. In my 30s, it was fuck the government. In my 40s, it was where's my dinner? Yeah. Like, I'm already at that where's my dinner stage.
100%. It's nearly 3 hours long, and it just moves like a freight train. It doesn't slow down. It's relentless. I likened it, like we were talking about it, and we sort of related it a bit to like a little bit of Tarantino, a bit of Coen Brothers. You spotted a little bit of Wes Anderson. Yeah. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, there's a bit of like old 70s Sam Peckinpah in there. Yeah. A bit of like William Friedkin with like the way the cars are shot, and very neo-noir.
It's a pastiche.
Yeah. A
pastiche of your favourite filmmakers. Both these movies, actually, that we watched were both over the 2 hour mark. And neither of them felt like it.
It didn't matter. And what I loved about this in true like Paul Thomas Anderson fashion, the music is so integrated. Like the soundtrack was absolutely beautiful.
But what I also loved about it was how puerile it is in parts, especially with the names of the terrorists. And you're like, this is the best. Like, only Paul Thomas Anderson get away with a...
it kind of ventures into surrealism, for sure. Like, there's a fantasy element to it. And like, when you get to those Wes Anderson moments, without giving anything away, there is a secret society involved. And they worship Santa Claus, essentially.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's two secret societies. Because there's the environmental...
Up in the hills?
Them but their group there has a secret name and they have all their
code language,
secret code words and all that sort of stuff. And then the right wing guys also have a little secret society with code names and.
It was hilarious, and what I found actually really amusing when you think about it is that Leonardo DiCaprio's character is not really committed to any cause. He's just in that scene. He doesn't really have
I'm going to use a phrase that a friend of mine's grandmother used when his father started having an affair with the boarder that lived upstairs and they rented the room upstairs in their house.
Yep.
Leonardo DiCaprio is cuntstruck. That was the term that this 80-year-old woman taught me.
I must admit, in the movie, he's got like a young sort of teenage daughter, and there's a moment where they have a really big embrace, and I thought, Leo's enjoying that.
Yeah. It's about the right age for him.
That's right.
For his girlfriend.
Anyway, look, as far as Paul Thomas Anderson movies. It's a real return to form for me. I know there's going to be people listening that think, well, he's never been bad. And I guess he hasn't, but he certainly hasn't done anything that's ticked the boxes for me. Like this one, I think, is just up there with like back when he did Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love. This is back on track with those.
Yeah, as someone who was never a There Will Be Blood fan, and
me neither.
Haven't even watched The Master or Phantom Thread or
Inherent Vices.
I have seen Inherent Vice. It's the only kind of say it's the only modern one. But
actually, I will say Licorice Pizza was the return to form.
Yeah,
this is a good follow up to Licorice Pizza.
I keep forgetting that Licorice Pizza is his.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And that one I put in the same camp as Punch Drunk Love. Like it's kind of different to what he's done elsewhere, but awesome. We've been to the movies.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
Now, on last week's show, and I can't remember if it's actually on the show or it was in the in-between parts, you were telling me, because last week you went to see the Downton Abbey movie, and I was saying, if you like Downton Abbey, you've got to watch The Gilded Age.
But I also said that I've been trying to watch it.
But you had to wait for your wife to get into it. And then on Saturday, I received a cheeky little text with the picture of your TV, and you had started watching The Gilded Age. So as a joke, and then you said, well, you need to watch Downton Abbey, which I have never seen.
Yeah.
So then as a joke, I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to watch the first episode.
You set that photo up for a joke.
As a joke,
You weren't actually simultaneously watching it.
And then
don't tell my wife that. She thought it was a coincidence.
Oh, it was a coincidence. No, because you sent me that one, I was like, well, if you're going to watch it, I'll do the same. So I put on Downton Abbey.
All right, we'll have a little bit of a digression. I'm guessing that's what you wanted to talk about.
Well, yeah, because this week my preparation is not what it should have been because I fell into a early 19th century rabbit hole by binge watching the first 2 seasons of Downton Abbey.
You got that far.
So is it 8 or 10 episodes a season? They're an hour long.
Still a lot.
So that's a lot of Downton Abbey.
I mean, I only got 4 episodes into The Gilded Age, and it's not my TV show of choice this week because I want to give it a bit longer before I really commit to an opinion. But I'm loving it so far. I'm loving the character dynamics. It's really up my alley. So yeah,
it only gets better, mate.
I'm glad we had that conversation.
Yeah.
So if you want to give an opinion on Downton Abbey, you can, and then I want to get into
Look, I thoroughly love it. Like I am enjoying it. Like there's a surprising amount of arseholes in it. There's a surprising amount of considering the power that what's the main guy's name?
Hugh Bonneville.
Hugh Bonneville would have had in that time, in that place.
Yeah.
He seems to be the victim a lot of a lot of, I know my footman is a prick, but what can I do? Yeah. I'm only the rich landowner Earl.
So many things you've brought up that I like in conversation outside of the show where I'm like, I forgot about that, and I forgot about that because in my mind, maybe because of the movies, it's much more frivolous.
They've moved on.
They've kind of lightened it.
And look, I will say what is really surprising, getting so far into the second season, is how much the Maggie Smith character has actually evolved. Because at the start, you're like, she's just going to be the character that she played in Gosford Park, which I've talked about on the show before. It's one of my favorite Altman movies.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
and she is that kind of starts off like that, but then as you kind of get to know her, she is like the exact opposite. Like, she is an old person in the show, so she's not that into the new technology, and she's not that into the social change stuff. She likes it when she was young. She kind of looks back on that kind of stuff, but she's actually genuinely a good person.
Yeah. She is. She's the heart of the show, and the only thing of Downton Abbey she's not been in is the new movie, because she obviously passed away. But it's a really fitting legacy tribute sort of to her. It's such a fun show. Like, I just wonder how many people watching this show would ever consider these two to watch. Try it. Let us know.
Well, what's going to be really weird too is that when we go through at picks for 2011, like the films that are in my picks are like who the hell are we listening to?
Yeah, who's listening to us?
Who's listening to this? Like, Ben is not who I thought Ben was.
Oh yeah, you just put yourself in their position right just there.
Yeah.
Very clever, Ben. There was another show that just caught my attention during the week that my wife and I managed to binge the whole lot. It's a fairly short show. I think it's 8 or 9 episodes there, 25 minutes each. But boy, did we enjoy it. So do you remember back in 2019, and I've mentioned this on the show, there was a movie called Top End Wedding with Miranda Tapsell.
Oh, okay. I know what you're
So
talking
yeah,
about.
there's a new show called Top End Bub. I thought, okay, let's give that a shot. And we did. And it was just wonderful.
Is the guy from The Bill still in it?
Yeah, everyone is still in it.
Great.
Everyone is still in it. So Miranda Tapsell actually created the show, and she wrote most of it. I think the guy you're referring to is Gwilym Lee. He was in Bohemian Rhapsody, played Brian May.
No. It's Hugh. He's the dad.
Yeah, and he's great in this.
Yeah.
Like, he has a really good character. Ursula Jovic, or whatever her name is, plays his wife. She's fantastic. The one character that returns, but only for 5 minutes, is Shari Sebbins, who she was the lead actress in that recent Mugai Indigenous horror film. She was in The Sapphires back when. She's in it for 5 minutes, and they kill her off immediately, which gives you the angle for the story.
Right.
And I thought, why would she obviously didn't want to come back in a big capacity, but then you find out she directed the whole thing. So that was probably her condition. Like, I want to direct this, and we'll
I just want to have a cameo. I want to be like Hitchcock.
And I thought too, given that it's called Top End Bub, I thought, it's going to be like she has a baby and blah.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. So the reference to Top End Bub is when her sister, played by Shari Sebbins, dies. Miranda Tapsell and her husband are called from Adelaide back up to the top end to take the niece in and be the parents.
Hey, when I went to see Raising Helen with my sister when it came out.
Forgot about that one.
And then when my sister had her children, both of them, when the second one, Zoe, was very young, I explicitly said to her, if you have a horrific car accident, there can be no Raising Helen type scenario where you know what Ben needs? He needs responsibility. So let's foist the nieces onto him. It was like none of that.
But I mean, this does turn their world upside down because they just she's a successful lawyer down in Adelaide. He's a successful cafe owner. They've just built a life for themselves, and it's all taken away because of this. So there's a bit of resentment in the whole situation. But above all else, it's such a great commercial for the Northern Territory. Like, it is shot so beautifully, and Mel and my wife, just kept saying, we've got to go up there. That's Darwin is gorgeous.
Where the bloody hell are you?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing too, it's on Amazon Prime, and so there are ads, but all of the ads are that director Shari Sebbins doing a behind the scenes of what they made, and says, "Well, come and see for yourself," and then it's the Northern Territory ads.
I will say about Downton Abbey, I'm watching that. It's on BritBox, which I'm watching through Prime. If you're watching one of those subscription channels, there are no ads.
No, I know, because we've got most of our subscription channels are through Prime.
Yeah.
Lionsgate, Shut Up.
MGM, all that sort of stuff.
All that stuff. Anyhow, there you go. So that's my show. You've got to watch the movie first, but maybe if you like that, give it a shot.
Then watch the series, yeah.
Susco.
Studio.
Hands down, this is, I reckon, the best conversation we've produced for this show. But let me just let you in on a little something, those who are listening or watching. We've got around about a 35-minute chat for you right now. But on Thursday, you will get a whole 1 hour extended version of the chat because there's so much good shit. On top of that, this just for our shits and giggles, there was actually nearly 2 hours worth of conversation. But out of respect for you and Stephen having just a great conversation, it's almost personal, really getting to know each other, I've left that out of the thing.
I mean, look, mad props to Stephen. We had a great chat, and he really gave me, a lot of the time when we do these interviews, you get 10 minutes, you get 15 minutes. Yeah. You've got, and when we sat down, you were like, 10 questions. 9 questions gets you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I blew past that 20 minutes in the first question.
Yeah. you'll either know, you're going to run through all 9 questions within 5 minutes and then you're fucked. Or they're going to go on.
I think I took 20 minutes just to ask the first question.
But you're all going to find out. But the interesting thing about this is yeah, okay, you burned up 20 minutes in the first one or two questions, but it's so fascinating.
Yeah,
It
he's
is-
a really interesting guy. I think if you don't know who Stephen Susco is,
Yeah.
check out his IMDb, which is only a fraction
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff that he's worked on.
Yeah.
But he is one of the new masters of horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
And definitely worth checking out all of his filmography.
And if you enjoy this, that stuff I was talking about that I left out, I did take some snippets. You'll find them on TikTok. It's just some great moments I thought were worth sharing with everybody that are not in this. So anyhow, enjoy it. We'll catch you on the other side.
It's Star Wars Part 3, Revenge of the Jedi.
They're filming that still.
We're gonna know for sure come Wednesday at 7.
I have to show you something. You have to see to understand.
Did something happen last night?
What's wrong, Mommy?
The world changes around us so very quickly.
And believe me, you have no idea what's coming.
So tell me, what's coming?
Hey, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us on Good Movie Monday.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Now,
Talk about good movies.
Yeah, we're here ostensibly to talk about your latest film, Test Screening, which is playing at Monster Fest starting October 3rd, and then in Melbourne, and then traveling around Australia later in the month. But I kind of want to go back a bit first. Now, can you tell me what kind of movies do you remember watching as a kid?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I watched everything. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, and there wasn't a ton to do except for the mall and the roller rink and the movie theater. And fortunately, we actually had a drive-in that was doing very, very well back then. So I got to grow up going to the drive-in and we had a cinema called the Barn Cinema, and it was a movie theater in an old barn. And it was nicer than it sounds, but it was still a barn. And that was just kind of my that and books were kind of my dreamscape back then. And growing up in the 80s, it was the prime time for the horror VHS video store. And the video store where I grew up was very, very small, and they kept the horror back where the porn was. They kept it behind an 18+ curtain, so it took me a little while to discover the treasure trove of box covers of box art. But once I did, I was pretty much hooked. So I kind of grew up loving all kinds of movies. You know, I loved Spielberg. I loved thrillers. I loved really good dramas. They filmed Witness in Lancaster, which is where I grew up, and so I had a special affinity for those sorts of movies, and I really just loved everything. And I still do, but I sort of got a special affinity with horror because I loved horror short stories, and I grew up reading, Ray Bradbury and Stephen King, and watching the Hitchcock, the Alfred Hitchcock TV series, and I just had a special affinity for kind of the darker subject matter.
Well,
So I don't know. I guess you could say the movies that formed me the most were, in terms of that, were like The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Jacob's Ladder, probably, and Flatliners. I think were kind of the four that locked in horror as my special place.
Now, I do, like, a lot of the time on these kind of podcasts, people ask, what movies did you watch that made you want to get into making films? I want to know, what movies did you watch that you went, this is terrible, I can do better than this?
Wow, I don't know. I think I watched so many horror films when I was a teenager and a late teen, because I was just, we were talking about this a little bit offline, just how when you get into horror, you just start trying to absorb everything that you could possibly get your hands on. And it was a different time, that there was no streaming and theatrical windows for horror films were, unless they were big horror movies, they didn't really happen. So it was kind of all about video. So I think what happened was I ended up seeing really high grade, kind of erudite, really well crafted horror just in conjunction with Ghoulies 3, right? Like, I would watch The Changeling, and then I'd watch Ghoulies 3, and then I'd watch The Exorcist, and then I would watch, Sleepaway Camp 2 or whatever. And it was not that that's bad. I kind of love that one.
No,
But like they kind of were so mashed together because I didn't really have the there was no internet. There was no one else that really loved horror that I was growing up with. So there was no one to be like, okay, here's the movies you should be watching. Like I just kind of experienced it all at once. So it was less like, well, I can do better than that. And it was more about like, well, I like that one more than I like that one. I like that one more than that one. And I sort of just developed a different kind of sensibility, I guess. But at the same time, I kind of loved it all. Like I loved the ones that were just, the sexy, juicy ones, and then I liked the ones that were kind of trying to, scrape at something a little bit more elegant. I just kind of liked it all.
I I always love that when you look someone up on IMDb, when you look at their first credit, it's always as if they just walked into Hollywood and all of a sudden, hey, Stephen, here is The Grudge.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
First job.
Oh yeah, it was just like that. It was just like that.
So can you tell us what's your breaking in story? How did you actually get into the glitzy world of film and television?
Well, gosh, that's a strange one. I mean, I made, when I was at college, I was rolling around a bit more in film and theater and stuff because it was the first time I sort of had a chance to growing up where I grew up. Um, and I'd never seen a screenplay until I went to college because I loved movies and I loved books, but I never saw the bridge, and I never saw what a TV show comes from, what a movie comes from. So when I read my first screenplay, I kind of started writing screenplays while I was in college. I was reading a Stephen King book at the time, and that was the first thing I ever adapted. And so I did a lot of that, and I made a bunch of films, and I was lucky because Hollywood came to my town. I went to Notre Dame, and they filmed Rudy when I was there, and that was like
Wow.
that was it. There was no turning back from that. Like that was
I was
quite a
ho-
moment. And
I was hoping you were going to say they came to your town for a test screening.
no, it's kind of part of where test screening comes from is that whole thing because it felt like Hollywood showed up, and although in this version it was very very nice. It was the people who made the movie, the producers and the filmmaker and the screenwriter were really really amazing, really giving people, and they included students from the theater program, and they said have them come by. We'll stick them in the movie somewhere. And the director would just let me hang out and do not, I missed months of classes because I was, just going wherever they were filming. I was finding something to do there and just got completely addicted to it. So it was like, well, I could either go to law school or I could try to do this. And I made a short film that won a Student Academy Award. Or was nominated for it. It won like a regional winner in the Midwest, and then but that was enough to get me to fly out to LA to see if it was going to win in the nation. It didn't, but it brought me to a table with a bunch of people who knew more about film than me, and they were all like, "So are you going to go to film school?" And I was like, "You can go to school for this? Are you serious?" Like, I was planning on doing something far more, you know, in line with I guess my parents' hopes and expectations for my life, law school or whatever, and so yeah, so I just took a lot of notes, and they're like, "Yep, these are the schools: USC, NYU, AFI, UCLA." Back at that point in the early '90s, film schools, film was not yet fully democratized. So you had some schools that just had most of the equipment, most of the alumni, and USC fucked up and let me in. So I packed up and moved out there and started at USC, and I was fortunate because right away I met a guy who was there on like the 7-year plan, and he was like, "Don't rely on the school to get you a job. This is everybody comes here and wants to do this." And he gave me great advice. He just said, "Keep writing and get an internship at a movie studio." and learn a technical craft. And so I got an internship right away and got a job alphabetizing a script library at a production company at Warner Brothers. Um, and then I that kind of worked for me because I ended up meeting, a lot of producers and listening to phone calls, and I learned more about how Hollywood works kind of behind the curtain, than I ever would have learned while I was at film school. Like I kind of was boots on the ground getting yelled at because the toast that I was making for somebody wasn't, good enough, or,
I was I
watching
was
Sylvester.
literally I was literally just going to ask how real is swimming with sharks, and you've answered that question.
Oh man, it was 100% accurate. It was 100% accurate. Well, it was fun because my second semester, I was at an independent production company first, and they had done great. They were doing interesting stuff. They had just done Fearless with Jeff Bridges. Um, they were producing A Simple Plan. I think a version before Sam Raimi became involved. And so I learned a lot about development. And then the second semester, I moved to Joel Silver's company, which was awesome for me because like I love Joel Silver's movies, but it was crazy. I mean, it was the Hollywood shop. It was, Sylvester Stallone would come by and um Joel Silver would be screaming at people, and it would trickle downhill, and I knew someone was going to start yelling at me any moment, and I would try to hide, and um, but it was again like an incredible education. But what also happened was, I was able to build relationships with people so that at a certain point, I could say, "Hey, would you mind taking a look at this script that I wrote and see if it's like any good or if I'm totally off the mark?" And they were just really giving people who were willing to give notes and pass it around. And the first script, almost Warner Brothers almost bought it. Actually, it was something I'd written with a friend of mine, and they took it to Warner Brothers, and Warner's passed, but it caused one of the producers to hand me an independent script he was developing and say, "Hey, do you want to do work on this? I can't pay you, but I think there's potential in there." And I met the director, this guy named John, and I just worked on it between classes for free, and nothing ever came of it. And I went home for the summer, and I came back in the fall, and I got a phone call randomly from New Line Cinema in New York, and they're like, "We love the script that you and your screenwriting your partner wrote." And I was like, my partner, like, and it turned out that the filmmaker had done a little bit of work on it and had put his name on the script, with an ampersand, which meant we were partners. And they basically said, "We want to fly you guys out to New York to meet to pitch this book called Bone in the Throat," which was written by this really popular chef I'd never heard of called Tony Bourdain. And and like next thing I knew, we were sitting there like neither one of us had ever been flown anywhere, let alone first class. And also he had put his name on the script, and I didn't know what he had changed, so there was a little bit of tension. But we're sitting here reading this book really fast, and we pitched Mike DeLuca, and Ted Demme was the filmmaker, and Tony, and we got the job. And that was my first. Suddenly, I was like getting paid to be a screenwriter, and so that was fall 1996. That was my first gig.
Wow.
Um, and but after revising it and doing drafts for a couple years, I graduated from school a couple years later, and I had made $8,000 on it. And I hadn't gotten job number two, and I was like, I thought I was off. I thought I was off and running as a screenwriter. I don't know, like what do I do? And the new director had Ted Demme had passed away, and a new director had come on, and he was really kind, and he said, "Let me call my agent. Maybe he'll read the script and see if he can help you out in any way." And he was kind of the magic sauce that came on. I'd never had an agent before, and he really liked the work, and he got me job two and job three, and on and on and on. But I was essentially, sorry, that was a long way around to answer your question. But
No, that's
I
great.
was sort of an in the trenches screenwriter from 1996 to 2002. I was just doing a lot of um, writing for a lot of interesting people, a lot of interesting projects. I wrote a movie for Mike Nichols and John Leguizamo, which was an amazing experience because I was a huge Mike Nichols fan, and I did a romantic comedy for Jennifer Love Hewitt. We kind of wrote all over the map. I only did one horror movie, but the other five that this guy and I wrote together were all thrillers and comedies, and they were all sorts of things. Um, and then we ended up our partnership sort of fractured, and my rep said, "Well, you have to write some new stuff because you kind of have to start over." And you seem to like horror, and horror is kind of big. I think it was 1999, so Blair Witch Project had just come out, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to write a couple horror movies. So I wrote a couple, and that led to some meetings and some work. And then I had the incredible fortune of having a general meeting with someone named Roy Lee, and in 2001, I think, and he was working on in post with Gore Verbinski on The Ring, and he was sort of astonished that I had seen Ringu, and I was a huge fan, and I was astonished that he was making The Ring, and we just kind of had common ground in this meeting, and he said, let me. He's like, I've never, like, Asian horror is like totally undiscovered. I just got this thing from Japan. It's not. It doesn't have subtitles on it. I don't understand it. Like, but it's crazy and it's terrifying. And let me show you some stuff. And he just like closed the curtains in the middle of the day and started showing me scenes from Ju-on, Takashi Shimizu's like TV thing, and it would just rock my world. And that conversation turned into The Grudge 2 years later. It was just so yeah, so I'd written like 25, I think. I think The Grudge was my 25th script, but it was my it was my first produced film. So yeah, it wasn't it was not a one-off for me.
Yeah. It's a big thing I learned. You should never trust IMDb because it only tells you part of the story.
Yeah, that's what's really fun. I love talking with other screenwriters and filmmakers and stuff, because no one has the same story. Like, everybody's story into Hollywood is circuitous and bizarre, and that's kind of what I love about it, though, because it sends the message to like young people and people that want to break in, which is that like anybody can do it. Like, at any time in their lives, like it seems insurmountable, and it seems distant and weird, but it's not. Like, you have to dedicate yourself to it, and it takes a lot of hard work, but the doors are open for anybody.
Now, after The Grudge, the two Grudge films, your next produced credit is one of my favorite films, Red.
That's one of your favorite films?
I love
Oh
Red.
my God.
Red
Wow.
is great. Well, look, as a lifelong dog
That's so
fan,
cool to hear.
and I do want to know, was there ever just a draft of that screenplay that only went for 20 minutes, and it's after after Brian Cox knocks on Tom Sizemore's door and demands an explanation, and Tom Sizemore goes, he just pulls out a shotgun and blows that entire family away.
Well, yes, we've definitely joked over the years about how if we'd only have him grab that gun earlier, we would have had John Wick. Like, but no, we decided that we were going to take the more dramatic approach. No, it just came from the book. That book was just, as a writer who writes very, very pulpy stuff, that particular book just blew me away, because it was this kind of exercise in restraint. Um, and it was this really fascinating exploration of like the limits of justice, which is something I've always sort of been curious about. In fact, The Grudge kind of has its roots there as well. Um, and so no, there wasn't. It was always a very modulated script. There was always this tension of the audience kind of wondering, oh God, when is this guy gonna, when is he gonna go off the rails? And he kind of never does until other people go off the rails, and even then he tries not to, really go into a place of violence. And I loved that kind of care of a story, and the way that it really made you think about, if you were in those shoes, what you would do, which is where I think film really works effectively.
Well, and then you got to work in the Toby Hooper universe with Texas Chainsaw 3D, which is a phenomenal film that we also played at Monster Fest last year. We did a 3D weekend, and
Oh, nice.
and that film was had pride of place, and which I thoroughly enjoyed. But that actually is a very different take on the whole Sawyer family mythos, because that is also is a bit more about kind of revenge. Funnily enough, it is about the whole town has turned on this family, and then the family kind of, the surviving member of the family kind of gets his revenge on the town, even not even intentionally, really. He just gets let out of the basement, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah, that was
has
that
his
was an
way
interesting
with
experience.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that it went through a lot of changes, and I mean the people people who deserve the credit for that movie, are definitely people who came after me as a screenwriter because I had a there were seeds of things that I had come up with that ended up in the film, um, but the writers who delivered that home I thought really did a good job because they managed to create to widen the window a little bit of what those movies were sort of exploring, and that's kind of what I'd been trying to do with I'd sort of developed a trilogy that was going to be like one long movie but playing out over sort of three, and we were gonna film it kind of the same way. Like the whole idea was to pretend that that we were the other movies that had come since the first one didn't really happen, and that the movie was going to begin in the back of the truck with Sally Hardesty just escaping that moment, and it was going to be shot 16 millimeter and handheld, and we were going to make it for we were going to make all three for $10 million total, and it was going to it was. And the trilogy that we created was really kind of about exploring all the questions that the first movie sort of left unanswered.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge to do, but I felt like the team that got 3D over the finish line, I think did a really good job kind of delivering on every level of what was going to make that movie a fun ride and a successful ride, and something that was a little different as well.
Yeah, I would love to know what came first, that they were going to do it in 3D or that they cast Alexandra Daddario. That question has always.
Well, the 3D definitely came first, but I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Now, look, we should talk about test screening because that's why we're here. Sure. And
I'm here for it all, man. Whatever you want to
Now, so for people who aren't familiar and haven't jumped on the Monster Fest website and read up about it, or in all of the trades, what's the elevator pitch for test screening?
Elevator pitch. Okay. Small town, Oregon, 1982. A bunch of friends, one of whom works in the local cinema, are thrilled to discover that Hollywood is coming to their small town with a test screening that ends up not being a Hollywood movie at all, but being something darker and more malicious. And it came from lots of conversations with a filmmaker friend of mine, but one in particular where we had the same influences. We both kind of really loved Spielberg, Carpenter, and Cronenberg, and said, could you do all three of those guys in one movie? And test screening was sort of an attempt to try to do that. So it's got a little bit for everybody, I think.
Now, as you mentioned, the film is very specifically set in 1982. What is it about 1982 that made it the perfect place setting for this film?
Well, a couple things. I think one was that it was kind of when I really fell in love with movies. I was definitely flirting with movies before then, but there was something about that year, Poltergeist, Tron, Blade Runner. I mean, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. That's I think is one of the all-time best years of American cinema was 1982. And and also, the sort of metaphor of the movie, the kind of thing that we were trying to unpack about today's world was being explored in a bunch of movies that were very didactic, but also very much set in the present. And I think we kind of wanted to look at it through the lens of the past, probably just out of frustration that some things that we were dealing with back then we're still dealing with now, and how that's kind of crummy that 40 years later we're still dealing with the erosion of individual rights and a lot of things that we would just have a lot of late night drinky conversations about. And back around that age when I was a kid was the first time that I sort of discovered that I had friends who were gay, and the movie obviously has a little component of that, and so it just sort of made sense to kind of try to explore the now through the lens of the past, I guess.
Well, I was going to say one of the kind of the themes in the film, I guess, is that the town's repressed horniness leads to their downfall.
That's a good elevator pitch too, by the way. I mean, that's a lot of people have said this is a lot like Society, and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I was going to
absolutely.
say
It
it's a
was
lot like
Society.
Impulse, which
Yeah.
which I only watched for the first time, but it has that great and the Crazies, but
Yes. Yes.
without
Those
the
were all
violence.
influences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, without the violence, much more. But I'm a big fan of the of the because it's the David Lynch thing where the seamy underside of small town America that's kind of always present, and in this film it's the outside influence that acts as the catalyst to bring
Yeah.
that you know the seamy underside, especially with the priest father character and all the parental figures in the film whose lives have kind of seemingly you know what's the term, but they've kind of they're not as great as they imagine they would be when they're in high school kind of thing, and they're just you know living their lives kind of thing, and you've got that
Yeah. I
kind
mean, 1982, like, it has kind of been, it's been Stranger Things, I guess you could say. And like, the early 80s were still very much like the late 70s for most of America. Like, they could not afford the 80s,
yeah
in a lot of America. We were still,
yeah
it was a terrible economy in 82, almost caused Reagan to lose. Um, and there was a lot of weariness, there was a lot of weariness. There was a lot of faded optimism. Um, but it was also very much a time, one of my favorite kinds of movies growing up were paranoia films from the 70s. And Parallax View, and I mean 7 Days in May. I mean, I love those fucking movies, and even Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like,
Body Snatchers is the perfect paranoia
ugh,
film. The
it's
two of them,
incredible. Yeah,
all
it's incredible.
all four of them, or how many there have been, they're all excellent. I love them all.
Oh yeah, I love the Abel Ferrara one. I don't know why, like, no one has seen this fucking movie, and it's one
Yeah,
of my favorites. I think I prefer the Kaufman one still ultimately, but like the Abel Ferrara one is phenomenal, and it just didn't. It's so underseen. Gabrielle Anwar, and man.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
Now you're talking
those are
about
movies that, like, those movies really showed me the flexibility of horror, and how horror is actually this phenomenal delivery system where you can really unpack something without an audience even necessarily sensing what it is you're getting at, and maybe then it kind of lingers, maybe makes them think about stuff in a new way, and they don't even really realize it. The Thing obviously was very much talking about, that was a Red Scare movie, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers to a certain extent was as well. And I think, test screening, that was kind of something we wanted to explore as well, is the sort of notion of that I think we're all still facing today, not just in terms of rights, but also this downward pressure of various kinds of puppet masters who are just desperately trying to corral us to act in the way that is most manageable, or most profitable for them, whether it's on a commercial sensibility, whether it's a political sensibility, however you slice it. It's that, and I think that's why there's a lot of Carpenter in the movie too, is because his movies were really full of that. In fact, we had a really wonderful moment when we filmed this in Portland, Oregon, and there was a theater there. I think it was called the Hollywood, and we found out that the night before we were going to start shooting, they always did retrospectives, and they were showing They Live, and none of our young actors had even heard of They Live. So we were like, all right, we're going. Like, night before day one, we all went and saw They Live, and everyone's like, oh, it's on the page. They
and
totally
I
sort
hope
of
that when
got,
they came out of the cinema, you just handed them all sunglasses, just like not saying anything,
exactly.
just here you go.
It was just fun though, because it was kind of the same prism that we were exploring. A lot of the stuff that Carpenter was really pissed off about, at that time,
Yeah,
we should all still be pissed about 40 years later, and I know, I think there's something to be said about the fact that where most people are most people would agree on, almost 90% of things in the world, and most people would get along very, very fine, if not for the fact that we're really told to dislike each other and distrust each other, and we're all very easily influenced, I think, and to a great frustration. So obviously, I think part of what we were kind of trying to dig at with test screening.
now before we wrap things up, I've got two more questions, and the second last one is if somebody was basing their entire Monster Fest experience on just going to see test screening and they're not watching anything else at the festival, what 5 movies would you recommend they watch to get in the mood for test screening?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Huh. 5 movies to get in the mood for test screening. Well, I mean, I'd have to say The Thing for sure. Um, I feel like Crazies or Society would, or maybe both, maybe on the list. Oh wow, this is a tough one. I don't know. Um,
I mean, I completely, you got to get some shunting in there.
some what?
Some shunting.
Some shunting.
I don't think that there is a movie in existence that you shouldn't watch Society to get into the mood for.
I mean, it's a great appetizer for anything. That's
For
totally
anything,
true.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard because like there's so many movies from me that had an influence, like Body Snatchers, but I don't know if they necessarily are like a good prerequisite. I don't know. What do you have any that you're thinking of that we could add to my 3?
Well, Impulse, which
Mhm.
I already mentioned. I think that's a great
Yeah.
film which which before recently I hadn't seen, and then watching it going, this is amazing. Yeah, now you've thrown it back at me, and
It's tough. It's tough because like there's so many that we've talked about, but
Yeah.
they're not they're kind of my
I mean,
influences, you
the
know.
Abel Ferrara Body Snatchers would be a great one to kind of watch, because that
Mm,
is
yeah.
very much that kind of that family dynamic within that military base is super interesting, and that when you know start to notice that there's something wrong, when when you get out of your head to the point where you notice that there's something wrong with your family, that
Hmm.
because you're so wrapped up in your own problems that all of a sudden you're like, hang on a second, mum and dad are they're a bit friskier than normal. What are they doing in the makeout
Yeah,
room?
that is a really good one. That's true because we have a protagonist who is very, very focused on her own dramatic question, and the audience has an enormous amount of dramatic irony. Like we're way ahead of her.
Yeah,
She's just not seeing what we see kind of. So by the time she sees it, she's really, she's behind the 8 ball a bit.
yeah,
So yeah, that is a good one. Um,
yeah,
yeah. If I think of any others, I'll send them your way. But
yeah.
that's a really great question.
And my last question, just to wrap things up, is: have you seen anything good lately?
Oh man. Well, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie that you just referenced is something I'm kind of dying to see. I've been hearing really, really great things about it, so I'm planning on going tonight or tomorrow. Um, I just saw Weapons, which is so cool. I mean, I almost kind of ruined the experience for myself because I had read the script and I was watching it going like, fuck, I shouldn't have read the script because like it's that fractured narrative is so much about like just the surprise after surprise after surprise that because I had read it and I knew what was coming, it kind of like it took the wind out of it for me. But it was still, I think, it's a delight to see that Hollywood is making weirder and weirder and weirder genre movies,
Yeah,
and people are going to see them because like that's so important to keep horror vital is this reminder that it doesn't have to be based on IP. It doesn't have to be a sequel. It doesn't have to be a remake. Um, you can make a movie for less than $10 million and it can make $100 million. Like,
yeah,
so that one was exciting, not just creatively, but it's the kind of thing that you want Hollywood to kind of see and be like, yes, we need to keep spending money on filmmakers who come in out of the box with a crazy idea because
yeah.
the audience is there and they're thirsty and they want to see something they've never seen before.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephen. That was fantastic. I had a great time. I hope you did too.
Oh man, it was so great talking to you. And I'm sorry Glenn couldn't join us, but give him a hug for me. And
Uh,
maybe next time around we'll get a chance to chat.
yeah,
But yeah, that was a blast.
definitely fantastic. Thank you so much.
2011, English singer Amy Winehouse died at the age of 27. Everyone saw it coming.
All right, 2011, Ben.
2011. This is a fascinating year. But what you go through the top 10.
All right, the top 10 box office films of 2011, and this is a very disheartening top 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 10 we got Cars 2, number 9 we got Smurfs, 8 we got Hangover 2, 7 we got Fast 5, Fast and Furious franchise. Number 6 we got Kung Fu Panda 2, number 5 Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, number 4 Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1, number 3 Pirates of the Caribbean On Stranger Tides, number 2 Transformers Dark Side of the Moon, and number 1 Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Every single one of them a sequel or IP that has been existing for a long time.
Yeah.
A very underwhelming top 10. What the fuck was everybody thinking?
I find this year is a really weird year. I found that, like, usually when we do this, I've got a page full of, just films, just a list.
Yeah.
This year, I found that it was movies. There was a surprising amount of movies that I loved, and the rest are just movies I just didn't care about.
Overwhelming amount that underwhelming.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
For sure. I mean, far out. I'm not so enthusiastic about this year to run through that many, but I'll just handpick some at random from Season of the Witch to The Green Hornet, Green Lantern, X-Men First Class, Super 8, Mr. Popper's Penguins, Larry Crown, Horrible Bosses, Zookeeper, Winnie the Pooh.
Well, I've got the horror films that came out, which
are
pretty good. Insidious, Scream 4, Hobo with a Shotgun, Final Destination 5, the Fright Night remake, Straw Dogs, The Thing prequel, which I have to go back and watch.
Which is called The Thing.
The Thing,
pissed me off so much.
Screaming in High Heels, which is the Scream Queens doco. Manborg and Father's Day both came out this year. One of the Dead. So great international horror films. One of the Dead, Zombie Ass, Toilet of the Dead, The Tunnel, which is Australian, Snowtown, Kill List, Hostel 3, Hellraiser Revelations, Human Centipede 2, Grave Encounters, Inbred, Innkeepers, You're Next, Ty West in both, having something to do with both of those, Red State, Wrong Turn 4, the sexiest Wrong Turn movie, and The Woman, all
incredible.
All came out this year.
Incredible. Shark Night as well.
Yeah.
Contagion, you got Moneyball, you got Bridesmaids, you got Something Borrowed, Water for Elephants, Your Highness,
Chalet Girl, guilty pleasure of mine that I'm not guilty about.
It's just an interesting year.
Drive Angry came out this year.
Yes, it did. Drive Angry, you know what? I really got a kick out of that movie. It was like, nobody else seemed to like it. Everyone pissed on it, and I was that guy that's like, what are you talking about? This is fucking great.
Yeah, this is gold.
And it was was that the remake or was it Bangkok?
Bangkok Dangerous was the remake.
That was the remake. Yeah.
Bridesmaids came out this year. Your Highness, Sucker Punch.
Drive Angry was Patrick Lussier, who did My Bloody Valentine 3D, and I said he should be an easy get on the show. I haven't reached out to him yet, but we should get him on.
You hear that, you slut? No.
All right, let's just. You said that last time too. Let's try and pick each other's favourites. I've actually listed a bunch here, but I'm gonna only try to guess 4 of yours.
Okay,
I really had no fucking clue which direction you're going here.
Yeah, and I've got none about you. Like my list is just weird.
Okay, well, if you can get one, as always, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get any for you. I'll go first because I got so few.
Okay.
Lincoln Lawyer.
No.
Hannah.
No.
Margin Call.
Yes.
Oh my God! Fucking fluked it. And Three Musketeers.
No.
Okay. Well,
wow.
I'm happy with myself. Yeah, 1 out of 4. Ain't bad.
So this is so my favorite movies of 2011, and there's a bunch of them. No Strings Attached. Larry Crown. Fuck, I love Larry Crown. Friends with Benefits. Crazy Stupid Love. Warrior. I really rate Warrior. Yeah. Moneyball.
I almost put that on my list.
50-50, the cancer movie. Kill the Irishman, which I think it's one that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of as one of my favorite movies, but if I look back on how many times I've rewatched it, like I reckon I've rewatched it like 30 times.
Yeah, awesome.
The Block, Attack the Block, sorry. Haywire.
Yeah, the Soderbergh film.
Gina Carano, and Father's Day. And I don't know if it made it into the podcast cut, but it will be in the longer cut. Cold Fish, a Sion Sono film that I talked about with Stephen, and The Guard.
Yeah, The Guard, good one. That is a good one. Wow, nothing like that in my list.
Yeah, this is I'm really.
You got to really what's the right phrase? You got to really lower your expectations when you're trying to figure mine out.
Yeah. Well, okay, I've got Super 8.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Number
right
one.
off the bat.
Number one.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. You got two.
Drive. No. Real Steel. Because we talked about it. The Way.
Yes.
Wow,
This
that's
is your
three.
best one yet.
Yeah. Jack and Jill, but I preface it with only the Dunkachino part. Because that is the single greatest scene ever captured on film, is Al Pacino's Dunkachino dance.
It's a good bit. It's a good bit.
Hugo?
Nope.
No.
Good one.
We need to talk about Kevin.
No, that's a good one too. Although Tilda Swinton, I'll never put her in my top 10.
Yeah. I thought Haywire.
No, but like now I think about it, it could easily slot in there.
Irvin Welsh's Ecstasy. No. And from Up on Poppy Hill, I took a chance on an anime one.
No.
Okay.
That's a good one too. So yeah,
it's too depressing for me.
Oh,
just fucking such a soul-destroying
Studio
film.
Ghibli tend to do that.
Yeah.
They love to break your heart. All right, so I'll run through them, including the ones you said. So Super 8, Sucker Punch.
Yeah, right.
I love Sucker Punch. Midnight in Paris.
Oh, okay. Great film.
That was the other one that I was going to compare to Big Bold Beautiful Adventure. Judy Moody in the Not Bummer Summer.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic family film. I really love that one. Then we had Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Way, and The Big Year.
The Big Year.
I love The Big Year. Another movie that was, fell to the bottom of everyone else's list. Worst film of the year, they said. And it's the one with Steve Martin, Jack Black, and Owen Wilson. It's a wonderful movie.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's all about bird watching. And these three obsessed.
I've seen the
They're all looking like
in the thing. Yeah, right.
I adore the movie. It's a really nice, lovely movie. I just like subtle comedy like that.
Yeah.
And I think the rewatch value is high.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah. How about we check out what the Boneheads think?
Let's not.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
All right.
If we must.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. And we're back this week talking about our favorite movies of 2011, or at least movies that we think are interesting picks for 2011. I cannot pass this one up, and I'm going to go first because I really want Joe Carnahan's The Gray. His best movie. What?
Nothing. I'm just surprised. It was between that one and another one. I thought you were going another way. So go ahead.
Honestly, I didn't do as much research until 2011 as not, but it's actually, and what's funny is the reason I automatically picked it is because I saw it on the shelf maybe 3 days ago. And I was like, man, I haven't watched that in a while. What a good movie. Because it just works. And yes, Chad, that would be my second. That's the most fun I had in the theater.
Yeah.
James.
Really, the most fun isn't the Muppets?
I'll go ahead and say, though, my honorable mention real quick, Cabin in the Woods kicks ass. I saw it twice. I saw it with these losers over in Woodhill and then went back and saw it again. It works on every single level.
Yeah. No, mine would be the Muppets. The Muppets, I mean, because it's one of those things that the Muppets are timeless, but they proved it could still work on the big screen. I argue it still can. You just have to have it done the right way. The Muppets is a blast. It's a musical. And it's overly optimistic, which normally saccharine stuff kills me, but the Muppets doesn't. It just works.
Yep.
And actually, that song about "Can We Do It Again" is actually really drives home a point about legacy and all that stuff that you don't expect out of a movie that's aimed for families.
Yep. Chad,
man, guys, this was a hard year for me. You've mentioned two of them for my favorites of 2011. So, man, I have got to go with the Guard. That's my favorite film from 2011, The Guard.
The comedy, right?
Yes, it's a comedy with not Domhnall Gleeson,
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, and Don Cheadle. It's about them tracking a drug smuggling ring in Ireland, and Brendan Gleeson is just he's a racist. He's addicted to drugs. He doesn't give a shit, and he just speaks his mind. But he's still an actually good cop. But Don Cheadle is, of course, the straight-laced FBI agent who's having to deal with him. It is an amazing film, and it's written and directed by John Michael McDonough, another talented guy who doesn't make nearly enough movies. So yeah, I had to pick The Guard.
Any honorable mentions, Chad?
There's a lot.
I have.
I'll just say Rango.
Killer Joe.
You all took two of mine in honorable mentions. I got a couple other ones I'll throw out. Rise of the Planet of the Apes shouldn't have worked as well as it did,
Oh,
but
it works, and it still works.
It works. Captain America: The First Avengers, Horrible Bosses was a great movie that doesn't get talked about anymore. Spacey. And then I saw an interview with Nick Frost when they asked him what movies he would watch again, and that would be Paul. He says every time he sees Paul on, as far as movies he's in, he goes, I stop, I watch it. I don't, but yeah, Paul was a lot of fun.
This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size.
All right, movie battle time. Or is it?
Or is it?
What does that mean? What did that mean?
Well, unfortunately, now both the movies that are in this week's movie battle, Grand Canyon and Shortcuts, top the 2-hour mark by at least 20 minutes. One by a whole hour. So 3 hours and 10 minutes for Shortcuts.
I might also add the two movies. Let's put them on the screen properly. So we've got Shortcuts and we've got Grand Canyon. Both have been on the schedule for months on end.
And I put them there. And I put them there because I was like, I have to watch Shortcuts. I had seen Grand Canyon before, but back on VHS.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember anything about it at all.
So, yeah, this is a fantastic mashup of movies. Because Shortcuts is undeniably in my top 10 of all-time favourite films. I love it. I could watch it any day of the week. The 3 hours just flies like that. I love how many familiar faces are in it, and the fact that they've crammed well over 20 very, very prominent figures, and their stories all make sense. It's all got substance. It's a real masterclass of storytelling. And then Grand Canyon is a great pairing with this one because it's so similar. It's shorter, but it's also got lots of familiar faces. The stories kind of entwine. Characters are very similar. Some of the storylines are very similar.
Steve Martin pisses himself. It was great.
So yeah, I had seen both before. Obviously, rewatched Grand Canyon for this purpose. Shortcuts I don't need to rewatch. I enjoyed Grand Canyon way more than I remember enjoying it. I don't know if you know, it's the second part in Lawrence Kasdan's Boomer trilogy.
No.
So he never used to call it the Boomer trilogy, but now that Boomer has become a thing, that's what it's called. So the first one was The Big Chill.
Okay.
Second one was Grand Canyon, and third one was a movie about 10 years ago called Darling Companion.
Right.
Which had Kevin Kline, Diane Keaton, and a few others.
So Kevin Kline's in all of them.
Kevin Kline's
his guy.
He's the binding factor.
He's Lawrence Kasdan.
But they're all about that generation.
Yeah.
And it's just an exploration of it and going through the ages. And Darling Companions, actually, you'd like it. It's a weekend retreat with friends, a bit like The Big Chill, and one of their dogs goes missing. And so then the whole film...
Fuck this.
The whole film is them looking for the dog.
The dog.
So they're going down bush tracks and just at the same time unleashing things in their life to each other and unburdening themselves and whatnot. So
a cathartic search. Yeah, look, in the end, because I was watching so much Downton Abbey, I watched 2 seasons, 10 episodes a season, an hour each episode. So that is 20 hours of television that you kind of, I blame you for it.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't, because you put me onto it. You kept saying, you got to watch it. It's great. I love Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey is great. You should watch Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey is awesome. So I did it, and then I fell down a fucking rabbit hole.
You sacrificed the episode for it.
And I was convinced that I would still have time. I watched, because I usually wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, and I take the dog for a walk at 6:30. So I've got a good hour and a half every morning to I can always, if I haven't had time, I can catch up on a movie. It's not possible with these films because they're both so long.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to. I've been pretty busy at work, but every now and then I can sneak in. I can have a movie playing in the background and still work. I tried it with the second half of Grand Canyon. I didn't do any work while it was playing. I just watched it.
It's essential viewing.
And I've put so much. I've built up Shortcuts so much, and I just. It's like the other one I've never seen. I tried to watch it a couple of times. Couldn't get into it. But I've never seen Nashville properly.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be, I didn't want my first time experience to be while I'm doing something else.
Yeah, 100%.
So I thought
we could make a movie night of it because I actually did a movie night with Fergus, the regular, what was it? I call him our resident Gen Zer. We did it, and
young man.
And he came out of it going, geez, that was phenomenal. Best way to describe it is if you know Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, it's the original Magnolia.
Well, that's originally you had actually switched out Grand Canyon when it was because it was a bit hard to track down a copy.
Yeah.
And you had switched that, and I didn't know. I was like, why did they put Magnolia there?
Yeah.
Is
well,
that?
And
I didn't know that
I
it was
didn't know
anything.
we'd be talking about the new film either.
Yeah.
Like Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, but
it's all come full circle.
The connection with Magnolia too would have been that Paul Thomas Anderson was Robert Altman's understudy for
Cookie's Fortune.
No, for what was the last one? Prairie Home Companion.
Right.
His last film. The insurance company wouldn't let Altman make the film unless he had another director offside, and it was Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, right.
So that would have been a good connection regardless. But if you love Magnolia like I do, and I'm sure Ben does,
yes,
then you're going to love Shortcuts. And just that cast, the ensemble, everyone from Jack Lemmon to Lyle Lovett to Huey Lewis to Chris Penn, Robert Downey Jr., go on and on and on.
Julianne Moore's Bush.
Yeah, that's right. Matthew Modine. Fred Ward.
Matthew Modine's Bush.
Yeah. Anne Archer, they play clowns. It's fantastic.
Anne Archer plays a clown?
Yes. And
with Matthew Modine.
And she drives a clown car. You've got...
she's so classy, Anne Archer. I can't wait to see this.
So good. Just on and on and on with all of these names.
Love Anne Archer.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Anyway, if I had to pick a winner, it's hard because you haven't seen Shortcuts.
Yeah.
Shortcuts for sure. But I'll tell you what, go and track down Grand Canyon 2 because it's so fucking great. Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Danny Glover is so you watch Grand Canyon and you go, okay, now I completely if I had forgotten, I can understand why Danny Glover was a huge star.
Yeah.
Because he's just so charismatic,
likable. Like there's no tomorrow.
He's everyone's dad.
Yeah.
Everyone's dad that they wish they had.
Yeah. One of the best things Steve Martin's ever done. Like his performance in this.
Oh, he's so good.
He plays he's modelled off Joel Silver.
Yeah, right.
The Hollywood producer. Just great. Anyway, definitely Shortcuts, but both fucking awesome. You gotta be careful when you do that because people, like Brody Kane, screenshot your face.
Do they?
He sent me. He goes, when Ben was doing the rapid fire thing, I happened to catch this, and he sent it to me. And I replied, "You're a bit slow off the mark there because it's our banner. It's our image for the episode, my friend." Time for rapid fire. Some recommendations. We'll wrap up the show. Want to go first, or want me to?
No, you go first because
Okay. On the off chance that we were going to talk about Magnolia while talking about Shortcuts, that was going to be my recommendation. But I come loaded with a backup, and it's a Robert Altman film. I mentioned to you only yesterday that I've got a Robert Altman film up my sleeve to talk about as a recommendation, but I wouldn't tell you which one.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
And you have been absolutely racking your brain trying to figure this one out. And you did pick it in your...
going listing his films.
Listing the films. Like, yeah, you got it, but I'm not telling you which one.
The Company.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Yes,
okay.
The Company from 2003. This movie is his second to last film, his penultimate movie, starring Neve Campbell, James Franco, and Malcolm McDowell. All set behind the scenes of a ballet company. There's no real narrative. It's just the inner workings, from Malcolm McDowell's, what do you call the head of a school?
Yep.
That guy.
Of a company.
Of the company, yes. And Neve Campbell is the next hot star that sort of...
As Edgar Wright does.
It's based on a real ballet company that's a bit more modern than the traditional ballet company, so there's a lot of abstract kind of dance as opposed to Swan Lakes and that kind of stuff. And the choreography in this is wonderful, and I think that's what drew me into it. It felt very much like watching the remake of Suspiria without the horror. Like it was that beautiful kind of... dance where they use props and things, so ribbons and stuff, and it's just a collage of color on the screen. And apparently in the backstory is that Robert Altman did not want to make this film, and Neve Campbell was the one that conceived the story and was pursuing him. And I think he rejected it like 15 times before he reneged in the end, and did a wonderful job with it. Like he absolutely delivered a banger film. Malcolm McDowell, absolutely incredible. Like it's one of his really strong performances. He's a nice guy, but also that asshole,
Right, okay.
Yeah, so he hammers home what he wants from his students, but always encouraging them at the end. He goes, look, okay. And he steps back and goes, you're all wonderful. Like, you do amazing things. So as usually when you get these films, it's the asshole side of the business.
Yeah.
This isn't. This is the encouraging side of the business. Neve Campbell's great. James Franco's very good. He's not a ballet dancer in this. He plays a chef that just happens to meet her at a bar and becomes the boyfriend.
Right.
And gets sort of drawn into this world just as a observer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be really interested now to hear your take on Etoile, the new. It's a Netflix series.
Oh, okay.
By the Amy Sherman Palladino and her husband who did Gilmore Girls. And,
okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that.
And it's all
okay
in the New York New York ballet company.
Yeah. See, and typically that kind of thing is not my jam, but
Yeah.
so long as there's a good story and and it's told well, I'm hook, line, sinker. And Robert Oppenheimer always tells a good story, and he always likes to go behind the scenes of an industry.
Yeah.
You know, Pret-a-Porter is the fashion industry, and the Player was Hollywood. And
McCabe and Mrs. Miller brothel in the
yeah,
Wild West.
Yeah, he likes to get behind the inner workings of things. Really good. Highly recommend it. It's the only place I could find it was on the SBS streaming platform.
Oh, okay.
So SBS On Demand or whatever it was.
Yeah, because I thought that's my reason for dismissing it when I was reading all those titles was that you can't find that one.
Yeah. That's where it is. That's where it is.
That's where it is.
And it's the one I hadn't seen before, so it was a good time to watch it.
Okay. Excellent.
What about you?
Well, look, in honor of Robert Redford passing, I just kind of thought I'd just spotlight three great Redford films that maybe people haven't seen.
Yeah,
well, two maybe people haven't seen. One that everyone should have seen, and if they haven't, that's their problem.
Can I guess one?
Yeah.
Is one Brockower? Is that
no,
what it's called?
Brubaker.
Brubaker.
No, Brubaker is fucking great.
Yeah. Okay.
Very young Morgan Freeman in that.
Yeah,
if you never believed that Morgan Freeman was young, watch Brubaker because he is. The part that I don't get about Brubaker, great movie, but he goes undercover in a prison.
Yep.
He's the new warden, and he comes in as a prisoner just to see how it runs from their perspective.
Yep.
But then when he's had enough, he just goes, "Hey, by the way, I'm the new warden," and they believe him. I'm like, if it was that easy, surely everyone would say you're the warden. It's a great film, though.
Yep.
No, look, the first one was Barefoot in the Park.
Okay.
Which was one of his earliest films in the lead.
Yeah.
It's Redford and Jane Fonda, and they're a newlywed couple in the 60s. They're living in New York on the 5th floor of a 5-story walk up.
Yep.
And they've never lived together before. I don't think they've even lived alone before.
Yeah.
And they're surrounded by really kooky neighbors. And it's just a kind of like a romantic comedy of them, trying to get along and figure everything out while dealing with the fact that they have to walk up 5 flights of stairs.
It's been a hot
every
minute.
day.
So I've not watched that. Maybe 20 years since I've seen it.
The poster art, it's Robin McGuinness poster art. It's a fantastic film. Definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it. It's great.
That's a Neil Simon screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say that?
Yeah. No, I didn't, but it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
The second one, which is the one that everyone should have seen, is 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's the fucking, it's his greatest film.
It's funny, I was listening to 3AW of all places the other day, and Ross in the Morning and Russ were doing a tribute to Robert Redford and doing what we do, going through like top 5 and top 10s and all that. And yeah, that came up as Ross's number 1.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, you need us on the show. I think I even commented on their Facebook post and said, mate, this is fun. We do it.
It's Redford's greatest film. It's Max von Sydow's greatest film. It's John Houseman's greatest film. I can't remember the name of the guy with the bad wig that's the CIA contact. It's his greatest film.
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway is probably the only one who, like, you could argue that, Chinatown, Network, or...
was it Cliff Robinson?
Cliff Robinson, yeah.
Yeah.
Whose hair has never looked real. Ever. But Max von Sydow is just the coolest character. Robert Redford is great as the man on the run.
Yeah.
The opening scene, I remember seeing it as a kid, and I didn't see the whole film. All I saw was the part where Robert Redford goes to work in the morning, and he nips out the back way for lunch, and while he's gone, a postman rocks up at the front door, and all hell breaks loose. And I don't want to. I've kind of spoiled it, but I don't want to spoil it. It's one of the earliest scenes of the film. It's the catalyst scene of the film, but it is fucking terrifying. And Max von Sydow is just. It's just amazing.
You've sold it.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And look, the third one is, I think, relatively underseen now. It's a film called Electric Horseman.
Okay. Yep.
It's directed by Sidney Pollack. He reteams with Jane Fonda. Valerie Perrin's in it. John Saxon turns up. Wilford Brimley.
Nice.
So Wilford has worked with both Robert Redford and Paul Newman, which is great. And in it, Robert Redford plays he's an ex-rodeo star who's now the spokesman for this massive corporation's cereal.
Yeah.
And they send him to Vegas on a tour where he trots around like an arena in an electric suit, and the horse is all got like electric stud lights and stuff. And they basically it's an ad for the cereal. But he's a drunk and a kind of a bit of a problematic kind of personality, and he has his run-ins with the company and stuff. But he's going out to perform, and he notices that there's something wrong with the horse. That the horse is not right. And he kind of figures out that they've been doping the horse to make it so that it's docile when they does all of the stuff. And this infuriates him, and he complains to them, and they basically shut him down and say, look, you're on a contract, so you just shut up and do what you're told. Yeah. So he goes, okay. And he goes out, he does the show with the horse, and he rides out and just disappears. And it becomes this major deal. The company, of course, don't want it to get out because if it leaks that they've been mistreating the horse, they've got a big merger on the line. That's going to be a big problem. And Jane Fonda is this reporter who kind of tracks him down. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes from there. But it is just a fantastic, fantastic film. That is perfect Sunday afternoon.
Well said.
Watch.
What an amazing legacy of films. Like, I want to go through some favorites as well. But I want to actually point out some relatively recent ones that I think are really underrated and are really excellent.
Are you going to say The Last Castle?
No.
No. With James Gandolfini's breathing in 5.1 surround sound.
Good mate Brody did list that one when we put it on Facebook. No, so he was in the Disney sort of live action version of Pete's Dragon.
Yeah.
And that's really good. It's nothing like the original cartoon, which is what I loved about it.
Is it Pete's Dragon or is it the...
It's Pete's Dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a whole different story to the original, and it's really great. It's actually directed by David Lowery, who's done some major things, but also he did A Walk in the Woods with Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
Recently, it was the Bill Bryson book, and he played Bill Bryson. Fantastic performance, really comical and excellent. Then I would say there's a movie I think I've spoken about before on the show with Willem Dafoe called The Clearing.
Yep.
That's excellent. It's a movie that kind of it feels incomplete. It's like they ran out of money and the production suffered, but the performance is just phenomenal. And of course, you've got the movie that's going for the record of most mentions on this show would be Sneakers.
Yeah, Sneakers. What a cracker!
Amazing. So, and as a director, A River Runs Through It. I could watch that any day of the week. It is, in fact, it's a perfect double feature with like fried green tomatoes. Put them back to back, and that's a movie night.
But even stuff like Up Close and Personal is great. Like he's just even Downhill Skier, which is
mate. I mean,
a weird
the
movie.
obvious, All the President's Men.
All the President's
like
Men.
That.
Yeah, The Candidate before that.
Yep. He was in Legal Eagles, which is the Ivan Reitman movie. Not that I'd say it's a great one. Oh,
Havana.
In the 90s, was there anything bigger than Indecent Proposal?
Yeah.
My God, that was
like
huge.
He needs $1 million to bang Demi Moore.
I know.
Ashton Kutcher banged Demi Moore for Christ's sake.
But he was in it for the mindfuck.
Yeah.
He wanted to destroy a couple's lives.
He just wanted to. Well, he wanted to cuck Woody Harrelson, and who hasn't wanted to do that a time or two? Eh?
Because he wasn't actually that movie. He was not interested in the sex. He wanted to see how their relationship unraveled afterwards. Like it's a really. It's if you're in a really if you're in a relationship, don't watch that movie because you'll ask the question. Well, would you take $1 million?
Yes.
You don't want to know the answer to that.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
So yeah, like Valet, Robert Redford, like fantastic legacy, excellent performer, excellent director.
And I don't know if a lot of people may not know this. I mean, I'm sure we know it, but he was the brainchild behind the Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah,
that was all Redford
because of the Sundance Kid.
Because he was champion of independent film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. Obviously, that will go forward, but I think I hope they do like a Robert Redford focus every year.
Yeah,
going forward, like to screen his films every year.
Even the way where they were, and I have no love for Barbra Streisand movies, but that movie is a fucking banger.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's just so many. You just go on and on and on.
Yeah,
but we won't. That's the end of the show, though, Ben. I'm glad you left that to the end. That was a nice way to end it. What else do you want to add before we leave?
Monsterfest is on.
Yep.
starting October 3rd in Melbourne, and then travelling around Australia. So
see test screening, see whatever else.
See Dog of God. Yep. See my friends. see my vest made from real gorilla chest.
Come and meet us.
We'll be there. It's Glenn's birthday during Monster Fest, so if you see him around, give him a present of a big sloppy kiss.
Glenn won't be there on his birthday. I'm just putting that out there. I've made that decision this year. I have been there on my birthday a few years past and have foregone family commitments for it. And I think it's time I owe my family time. But anyway, don't forget our socials, goodmoviemonday.com, and then you can find your way to all of those. And buy some merch. We'd love to see you with a mug.
And I will say, at Monsterfest on Saturday the 11th, the Melbourne Horror Film Society, run by Melzy Begg, who contributes to the show, will be hosting the trivia.
Oh, excellent.
So come along to that. You get to meet Melzy in person.
Always best to be the host and not the participant.
Yeah. Then you can go, this is an easy one. Knowing full well that if you didn't have the internet when you were writing the question, you would never have got it.
And the anxiety of being someone that might not know an answer.
So,
I don't want to be that guy. Anyway.
How many no strings attached questions are going to be in this horror trivia?
All right, folks. See you next time.
Bye.